everyone, it's xBundok here, and today we are going to talk about getting minis offline and whether it's worth it. As someone who's had some history in the crafting scene, the first place I've always looked, of course, is Etsy. And if you go and you type in D&D miniatures or tabletop miniatures, you're going to get a ton of results. A lot of custom figures, terrain prints, PCs. You can even have them make custom PCs for you for some of the folks. And a lot of people are iffy sometimes. So we're going to break it down and see, is it really worth it or not? And you can make your own judgments too. You don't have to agree with everything I say. Well, that's the glory of being people. So the first thing a lot of people consider is price. They think it's a whole lot more expensive than in-person purchasing. So this is the Wondrous Miniatures shop, where I got some of the figures you're going to see later on in the video, to include this Lady of the Marsh figure at the top. And she's only 24 USD. And if you think about going to the store for your WizKids minis, some of your PCs, or your NPCs are going to be smaller, but even your large monsters usually top out around 15, unless you're going for the huge adult dragons or a Tarrasque for some reason. So this is one of the dryads that I got from his shop. Trust me, I was a little confused with it being a male dryad. I'm used to them only being female, but we'll get to that later. That's an argument of semantics and textbook. But comparatively to the WizKids dryad you can get, let's be honest, which one would you want to put on the table? And there would be a price difference. So if you break it down, the WizKids packet was $4.99 for 2 minis. So you say $2.50 for the mini on the left. And I think I paid either $8 or $12 for the one on the right, which I think is worth it. That's just me. And a lot more detail, a lot more skill. You did have to do some assembly with this piece versus it being ready out of the box and you had to prime it. But if you're past the immediate beginner stage, it's not too difficult. You're able to do it. Now, number 2, I would say, is convenience. You can run out to your local hobby game store and pick one up. If you need something for a game on Saturday and it's Thursday night, they probably have it. And even if they don't, they'll have something that you can sub in. Now, if you're ordering offline, you can always have an estimated ship date, but that might not actually be true. They might have some in stock already, or they might have to still print it. There's a whole lot of variances. So if you are rushing to have a miniature for a specific game, even if it's a month out, you have to keep in mind you might not get it in time. And I think that's one of the singular downfalls of purchasing online, along with number 3 in my book. And we'll get to that right now. All right. For our print quality and assembly needs for online purchasing. Some of your smaller pieces, like this one, 3 cats in a trench coat, sometimes you just need it. You never know when, you just want to have it to be ready. Your smaller prints, they come in one piece, they're solid, you don't have to worry about putting them together. This is some children that we got for around town and city scenes and things like that, because we can't find the WizKids ones, because that's also where online comes in handy. Again, all in one piece, don't have to worry about assembly, no issues there. One of the quality things you might run into, and it might not even be a quality factor per se, it could very well just be because they're all solid sides, is with your terrain. You're definitely going to get some of the line that you'll see from printing. And here's an organ that I had gotten from an online store. Just for example, it's super obvious. But once you paint, it's not necessarily really bad. There's also some techniques you can use to fill those lines. Now, this is the dryad I showed earlier. This is one that took basic assembly. So you just need to attach the top to the bottom, attach an arm, and leaves. You see here I did catch a stray hair in the glue because, cats, it's just what happens. But it was the branches towards the top. They were a fragile print, so you have to be careful with your assembly, so a starter painter might not be incredibly ready for, but it's not too bad. And then you have larger prints. So I showed this awesome guy in a previous video, my paint for it behind. He was fully assembled. I did not need to assemble anything. Did it make it a pain to paint him? Yes. But all in all, not that bad and high print quality. Now, the figure I showed you earlier, She, on the other hand, does need assembly, and here's where my only prime complaint comes in. So as you can see, I don't have all of her arms on yet. You have to attach all 8 arms. And they were packaged separately, labeled R1 through R4 and L1 through R4. Well, as one would guess, they don't actually correlate. They're not all on the left side or all on the right side. So I have to figure out which one's which. And then the ones that are true that I did find for, you have to file down anyway. So there is going to be some work that has to go into that one. And that's the only thing that bothered me. And this is what I'm going to say. Check the reviews. I used to be a person that only looked at the reviews for figures when it came to the image of what was received, primarily because I would be worried about, okay, so they probably took a picture of their best quality print, but they might not send that out. Not that I would slight that, or, you know, I'm just thinking of ways that you could be disappointed with what you would receive. Once I finally looked back and looked at the reviews for that figure, there were quite a few people saying that even though they were labeled, they didn't fit right, or the notch and divots didn't fit and they needed filed, or they were slightly too small. And that's something, you know, it bothers me, but I feel like I can't fault the printer for horribly, because there is going to be some variance, and it's something that's an easy fix. It's not a completely wrong print, or there's not a whole bunch of strands still coming off, or supporters. You know, it's something you can work with as a painter. Overall, I think your online purchases from private crafters, you know, trying to make their way, can definitely add a huge element to your game, add a lot more detail. There's a whole bunch of options out there. I mean, there's one I'm looking at that it's a terrain piece that is a house built on top of a giant tortoise. I mean, why not take that on? And there's not too much of a cost difference. Obviously, there's going to be some, but you can definitely get pieces that suit your campaign better or suit you better, and add more depth and dynamic. But, you know, leave it down in the comments. What do you guys think? Is it worth it, you know, to go out and get custom prints for things? Or is the WizKids packaging enough, you know, when it comes to a fight that, you know, your PCs might take out in just a couple of seconds? As always, thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. And I'll see you again in the next video. Take care.